walks past a Rolls-Royce dealership on a Tuesday afternoon. He glances at the price tag on the Phantom in the window, $450,000 for the entry-level configuration. And he thinks what most people think when they see a price like that: the company that makes these cars must be the most profitable automobile manufacturer on earth. They charge $500,000 for a single vehicle. They must be extracting extraordinary margins from every transaction. Jake is partly right, but mostly operating with a picture that is missing some of the most important and most surprising economic details about one of the world's most iconic brands. And today I am going to fill in every missing detail, starting with the one that surprises almost everyone who learns it: the BMW secret that most people never know. Here's the fact about Rolls-Royce Motor Cars that most people, including most automotive enthusiasts, have either never heard or have not fully absorbed into how they think about the brand. Rolls-Royce Motor Cars is owned by BMW, the German automobile group, which acquired the Rolls-Royce brand name and trademark rights in 1998 for 40 million British pounds. 40 million pounds for a brand that is now estimated to be worth between $7 and $10 billion, which means that BMW's 40 million pound investment in 1998 has appreciated by approximately 17,500 to 25,000% in 28 years, making it arguably the best brand acquisition in the history of the automotive industry, and possibly the best brand acquisition in the history of any industry. The brand itself, the Spirit of Ecstasy hood ornament, the Pantheon grille, the name Rolls-Royce, that BMW acquired for 40 million pounds, is the asset that generates the economic premium that makes everything else in the Rolls-Royce Motor Cars economics work. And the second thing most people do not know is that there are two entirely separate companies called Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce Motor Cars in Goodwood, which makes the cars, and Rolls-Royce Holdings in London, which makes jet engines for commercial aircraft and military jets, and which is a completely different business, with completely different economics, and has nothing to do with the automobiles, and was not acquired by BMW, and has not produced the extraordinary investment return, the scarcity economics that define the business. Here is the economic decision that is counterintuitive to almost everyone who thinks about luxury brands from a business perspective. Rolls-Royce Motor Cars makes approximately 6,000 cars per year. 6,000. Toyota makes approximately 10 million. And Rolls-Royce is not simply failing to reach Toyota's production levels, it is deliberately refusing to, because in the economics of ultra-luxury goods, scarcity is not a limitation. Scarcity is the product. Each Rolls-Royce is assembled by hand at the Goodwood factory in West Sussex, the process taking approximately 450 hours per standard vehicle, and 800 hours or more for vehicles with extensive bespoke division customization. And the Goodwood factory, purpose-built in 2003 with a wildflower meadow on the roof, has a maximum capacity of approximately 6,000 units per year. Not because the factory cannot be expanded, but because Rolls-Royce has made a deliberate economic decision that expanding production would dilute the brand exclusivity that generates the premium pricing. And that premium pricing, not volume, is the entire business model, the bespoke division economics. Here's the revenue mechanism that most people who think about Rolls-Royce as simply a car company entirely miss: the bespoke division, which custom designs and handcrafts almost every element of every Rolls-Royce to individual customer specifications, is the highest margin operation in the automotive industry, and possibly in any manufacturing industry in the world. A customer who orders a standard Ghost at $330,000 is a reasonable transaction in Rolls-Royce economic terms. A customer who engages the bespoke division to create a one-of-a-kind Phantom with starlight headliner, hand-painted coachwork, custom interior materials sourced from across the world, and personalized artistic elements that require months of specialist craftwork, might pay $1 million to $5 million. For what is still fundamentally the same chassis and powertrain, the markup from standard to full bespoke represents a gross margin of approximately 60 to 70% on the incremental bespoke content, and bespoke content now represents approximately 40% of total Rolls-Royce revenue, meaning that almost half of all Rolls-Royce revenue is generated by the customization and personalization services rather than the base vehicle. The most extreme expression of bespoke economics was the Rolls-Royce boat tail, commissioned by an unnamed customer and revealed in 2021. Which was a completely one-of-a-kind vehicle designed and built entirely around the specific taste and lifestyle of that single customer, at a reported price of approximately $28 million. $28 million. For one car, built for one person, incorporating hosting equipment for yacht parties, champagne coolers, a parasol, and materials sourced specifically to match the client's other possessions. It is the most expensive new car ever commissioned in automotive history, and it represents the logical endpoint of the bespoke economics, that the ceiling on Rolls-Royce pricing is not a number. It is the imagination and budget of the customer. The waiting list as a business strategy. Here is the distribution economics that reverse almost everything you know about how luxury goods are sold. There are approximately 130 authorized Rolls-Royce retailers worldwide. Not dealerships in the traditional sense, retailers who are authorized to represent the brand, but who operate under Rolls-Royce Motor Cars' strict control over every aspect of the customer experience, from the design of the showroom, to the training of the sales staff, to the absolute prohibition on discounting of any kind. Any retailer who offers a Rolls-Royce at below the listed price risks losing their authorization entirely. And for the most popular models, particularly the Cullinan SUV, which became the best-selling model in Rolls-Royce history, the waiting list has at times extended between 12 and 24 months. And here's the economic genius of that waiting list. It is not a supply chain failure, it is a demand confirmation mechanism. A customer who waits 18 months for their Rolls-Royce has had 18 months to tell everyone they know that they are waiting for a Rolls-Royce. And the social signaling value of the waiting period, the status of being someone who has ordered a Rolls-Royce, is part of the product that Rolls-Royce is selling. The waiting list is marketing that the customer pays for. The China transformation. Here is the geographic economic shift that has most significantly changed Rolls-Royce's commercial trajectory in the last 15 years. China has become the single largest market for Rolls-Royce Motor Cars, representing approximately 30% of global annual sales. And the Chinese luxury consumer has specific preferences that have influenced Rolls-Royce's product development economics in significant ways. Chinese buyers tend to prefer being driven rather than driving, which increases demand for the ultra-long wheelbase Phantom Extended and Ghost Extended models, where the rear passenger experience is optimized beyond the standard configuration. They tend to engage the bespoke division at higher rates than buyers in other markets, generating higher average revenue per vehicle, and they tend to purchase more frequently, with a significant proportion of Chinese Rolls-Royce customers on their second or third vehicle, creating a recurring revenue dynamic that is exceptional in any automotive context. The Middle East, which represents approximately 25% of global sales, shows similar patterns, with buyers frequently commissioning fully bespoke vehicles and purchasing multiple units. The combined China and Middle East markets represent approximately 55% of Rolls-Royce sales, and a significantly higher proportion of bespoke revenue, making the economic health of Rolls-Royce Motor Cars more dependent on those two regions than on any Western market. The depreciation paradox and investment economics. Here is the dimension of Rolls-Royce economics that genuinely distinguishes it from virtually every other automobile manufacturer. Certain Rolls-Royce models do not depreciate, they appreciate. While the average new car loses 20 to 40% of its value in the first year, and 50 to 60% within 3 years. Limited production Rolls-Royce vehicles, particularly those with unusual history, one-of-one bespoke configurations, or connection to significant cultural moments, have sold at auction for significantly more than their original purchase price. The 2017 Rolls-Royce Sweptail, commissioned as a one-of-one vehicle for an anonymous owner, was reportedly acquired for approximately $13 million, and would today be expected to realize significantly more at auction, because it has become a recognized landmark of coach-building art. This appreciation potential, while not guaranteed and not universal, creates a category of Rolls-Royce customer who views the purchase not as consumption, but as acquisition, and who returns to Rolls-Royce for additional purchases partly because their previous vehicle has maintained or increased its value. The complete BMW economics. Here's what the full picture looks like for BMW's Rolls-Royce Motor Cars acquisition as a business in 2026. Annual revenue approximately £6.2 billion. Operating profit approximately £700 to £800 million. Operating margin approximately 11 to 13%. Return on BMW's original £40 million investment, approximately 17,500 to 25,000%. Waiting list for Cullinan and extended models, 12 to 24 months. Bespoke content as percentage of revenue, approximately 40%. China and Middle East as percentage of revenue, approximately 55%. Number of customers who own 3 or more Rolls-Royces, a significant proportion of the customer base. Here is the honest economic truth about owning the Rolls-Royce company. B&W did not acquire a car manufacturer in 1998. B&W acquired a permission slip, a permission to charge prices that no rational economic model of manufacturing cost would justify. A permission granted not by any regulator or market structure, but by the accumulated cultural significance of a name that has been associated with the pinnacle of craftsmanship and aspiration for 120 years. And the economics of that permission slip, the ability to charge $450,000 for a car that costs approximately $150,000 to manufacture, are the most favorable unit economics in the history of the automobile industry. Not because Rolls-Royce builds better cars than anyone else, but because Rolls-Royce builds a car that signals to everyone who sees it, in every language, in every culture, in every economic context, that the person who owns it has arrived, and no amount of engineering or manufacturing excellence from any competitor at any price point has ever managed to replicate what that signal is worth. To the people who need to send it, Jake stands outside the dealership a little longer than he intended, looks at the $450,000 price tag, and understands for the first time that the price is not the cost of the car. The price is the cost of everything the car communicates. You have been decoded. If this video made you see Rolls-Royce and every luxury brand from a completely different economic angle, subscribe to Money Decoder 3004. Every single week, we decode the economics of the brands and businesses that most people interact with only as observers, never understanding the financial architecture underneath. Simply, honestly, and clearly, drop a comment below. Do you think Rolls-Royce is worth $450,000? Or is it $250,000 of car and $200,000 of signal? Tell me your number below. I read every single comment, and I will see you in the next decode.